So welcome to the September meeting of the Mycological Association of Washington, D.C. I am Elizabeth Hargrave. I'm the club president. And here's my slides. We are all coming back from Sequinota, or a bunch of people that are helping to run the meeting tonight. So sort of scrambling to get caught up. But I'm going to talk about some club news, including Sequinota, and some fungi in the news. Mitch Forney, our 4-H here, is going to go over some pictures that people have sent in this month. And then Rick Silber is going to talk about the mushrooms that he found on a trek in Nepal that he organized with a bunch of skilled mycologists there. So first things first, as I said, we're all just back from our weekend foray in Sequinota. A big thank you to organizers Matt Cohen and Tom McCoy. This was a fun shot we took with a bunch of the mushrooms that we pulled off of the display table at the very end, just to make a pretty picture. We had 13 different mushroom walks in the Laurel Highlands of Pennsylvania. At the camp itself, Camp Sequinota, Lynn Run State Park, Forbes State Forest. Lots of people helped lead them, so thank you all for that. I won't read everyone's name. I have a bunch of pictures for you guys that didn't come up there, but we had edible mushrooms at every meal, and so thank you to April Thompson and Ray LaSala for helping coordinate with the kitchen this year, because April is actually certified to sell mushrooms commercially, which made the kitchen willing to fix the mushrooms for us. We even had chanterelle syrup for our breakfast. What else? We had a bunch of workshops led. Sarah Nella did a microscopy workshop. Megan Romberg did dyeing. Zay Bednash did a cultivation workshop. A bunch of people play tested my mushroom game that I'm working on. Thank you all for that. We had excellent guest mycologists, Tom Bigelow and Ethan Crenson. What else am I forgetting? We will pass along some pictures at some point on the Facebook page and in other ways. But this is the top 10 species as of right now that were uploaded to the MAW Sequinota project on iNaturalist. And I think it's a pretty good summary of some of the stuff we were commonly seeing, which were really fun stuff to see. Some entelomas and stalked puffball and aspic is always a treat to see. We don't see that in DC very often, but we almost always see it up at Sequinota. And lots of violet cordonarius. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And I believe the total list was over 270 mushroom species. Annie Weissman is going to do a bigger summary next month when we've had a little more time to recover and go through all the pictures. So stay tuned for that. And maybe I'll show some of the pictures that, if I can figure out what's going on with my slides and why they're not coming up. Good, this one is up. Some other upcoming stuff. Next weekend, Tom McCoy has scheduled another event in Pennsylvania. The mushroom cultivation capital of the United States is in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, and they throw a mushroom festival every year. So Tom, with one of the Pennsylvania clubs, has organized a foray at Ridley Creek State Park. And then the idea is to head over to the mushroom festival after that, which apparently has lots of fun mushroom merch and food. And you can see some stuff about how they cultivate the mushrooms on a big commercial scale there. October 4th is our next monthly meeting. And then the 16th, we have another big annual event that we throw at Brookside Gardens in Silver Spring, which is a big mushroom fair. We'll do some forays, and like the pictures I would have showed you of Sequinota, we'll have big tables out with a big display of all the mushrooms that people have found. And it's a good event for attracting just the general public who happen to be out at Brookside Gardens for a walk, but it's also a fun time to get together with folks from the club and go on some walks at Brookside and in Wheaton Regional Park, which is right next door. MAW offers research grants to students who want to do research at any level, undergraduate through graduate work. There's information about that on our spreadsheet, and the deadline for those research grants is October 31st. And then November 13th, Tom McCoy wanted me to point out that he is running a photo contest again. We got some great submissions last year, and he is hoping that people will check that out and send in some photos, and we'll do something fun with them for lots of mycological eye candy in the winter when there's less that's up. So any pictures that you've taken all year, go ahead and pull out your favorites and send those in by November 13th. And again, there's information on our website about that. Some non-MAW events. The first one is actually being run by a MAW member, Serenella Linares. She is doing a 10-week-long introduction to fungi class through Audubon Naturalist Society. Her enthusiasm is infectious. I am sure it will be a fantastic class, so check that out. She also has a couple one-off workshops in their catalog right now, so search for Serenella in their latest catalog, and some fun stuff will come up. I think she's doing another bioluminescence walk, which is something she also did for us at Sequinoto, which was really fun. The North American Mycological Association has a foray very much like what we just did at Sequinoto, but on a much larger scale. People come from all over North America for it. It's going to be in Trout Lodge, Missouri at the end of September. So you can check that out. I've never been, but there is a Mushroom City Arts Festival at the beginning of October in Baltimore. If anyone wants to organize a group trip for MAW folks to go up together, let me know, and we could probably make that happen and get it on the calendar. Oh, and then the last thing on here is one of Serenella's other classes for Audubon Natural Society. So if you're not up for the 10-week commitment, this is one class and a field trip in October and November about forest fungi and the wood wide web. This would be fungi in the news, I think. I think this was the first one. Okay. It was in the news that white truffles, someone has had success cultivating white truffles in the past. The black truffles have been cultivated commercially, and that's why you can sometimes see them in products in the grocery store. Costco has a great black truffle Parmesan spread that you can get. But someone has figured out how to do the white truffles, which are much more expensive because up until now, they have only been wild foraged. So this may change the truffle market. The folks at NYU who had a clinical trial running for alcohol use disorder have published some results that look very promising. They did not completely eliminate people's alcohol use, but it was a significant decline in alcohol use among the people who had 2 administrations of psilocybin. The placebo was Benadryl, which I guess makes people feel woozy enough that they might think they've taken drugs. And they have been approved by the FDA to go to the next level of the clinical trials. So that seems promising for them. And I don't know the exact timing of this because of that, or just in general, Bloomberg did a long piece on sort of the business side of the people who are ramping up for psilocybin production, sort of in anticipation that a lot of the clinical trials that are running right now are doing quite well. So that was an interesting read. They sort of think that people might be getting a little bit ahead of where they should be because there's a lot of interest in it. Wall Street Journal had a much more sort of generally mushrooms and pop culture kind of article that Jekka shared with me. And it's kind of a fun read there were a few pop culture references in there that I hadn't heard about. Like apparently in an episode of Ted Lasso, someone was reading a book about mushrooms, Merlin Sheldrake's book. So that's a fun read. Probably a lot of the stuff you already know about. I think I just had one more, but I will go ahead and turn things over to Mitch, and I will take it on myself to investigate my technical difficulties for next month. But Mitch, why don't you show us some fun mushrooms?